Join me every Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Rev-Up St. Lucia for Unrestricted.
It's now time for another Unrestricted, hosted by the lovely Lotus. Lotus, a very good morning to you. So it's a pleasure seeing you.
Good morning, Andrew. It's always a pleasure seeing you as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your warm welcome.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning to Facebook. Good morning to YouTube. Good morning to X. Good morning to our radio listeners.
Online. Yes.
Everyone, good morning and welcome back to another Unrestricted.
Yes.
It has been a good week. And I hope that you will enjoy this show, Andre. I think it's a really nice discussion or nice topic for when I was looking at it. I said, you know what? I think people are gonna like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's this morning we're gonna talk about outgrowing people. What you laughing at, Andre? We're gonna talk about outgrowing people, and I have a little quote that I got. It says, "You're allowed to outgrow people who meant you no harm, but also offered you no growth."
Wow, that's powerful.
That is powerful.
Would you mind repeating that?
You're allowed to outgrow people who meant you no harm, but also offered you no growth. Right? So, from the Brave Enough blog, as people, many of us, we were raised to nurture, to hold on tightly to our relationships, and to keep everyone around us happy. The idea of moving on from friendships, communities, or even professional spaces can feel selfish or wrong. We are taught to hold things together, to compromise, and to make it work. But what if the most profound growth happens when we embrace the idea of letting go? Right, Andre?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Isn't that a powerful introduction
Powerful.
to outgrowing people?
Powerful.
Many times we as we go through, you'll see too. Many times we grew up with so many people. We're in the same environment. Sometimes when we've left the environment, we do different things, and some of us remain in contact with those people. We have friends for a long time, and over time, as we grow, and the word "grow" itself indicates a shift. You begin to shift. You begin to your perspectives, your ideas, even your values. Some people, because we were raised to believe in one thing, and when you grow a little bit and your eyes are opened, just like Santa Claus, your mother would tell you that Santa is coming down the chimney. Even in Caribbean islands, we were told that we had chimneys, and we didn't have any chimneys. You know what I mean? Yeah. because we piggybacked ride on.
What about the tooth fairy?
Exactly. Exactly. And as you begin to grow up, some of us even continue those traditions, Andrew, because I used to tell my children, I didn't tell them about the tooth fairy, but I used to take the tooth and put it under the pillow and put money, just like my,
Yes, exactly.
we would follow certain things and certain traditions. And as we begin to traverse the world, we begin to shift. And now we begin to form our own opinions, our own ideas, and our own values. And I saw something last week on somebody's status that made a lot of sense. Some of us even stop generational curses, if you watch it like that. Like some people say, some things happen in your generation, and it happens over and over again. And sometimes it just takes one person to say, no, that's not healthy. That's not sustainable.
And I would imagine it is a certain practice.
Yes.
That comes down from
generation,
and you
yes.
and you as you said there, that is passed on, and we believe that this is normal to behave that way, think that way, and then we have to realize, but hey, as you said,
yeah,
but this thing is this
it's
working?
Not healthy. It's not serving you. You realize when you do it, there's nothing happening, or it's not giving you the response that you think it was supposed to give, or it's not adding any value to your life, and so you're like, okay, I'm not practicing that anymore. And you have a right as an adult, during your journey of growth, you have a right to make those decisions.
What does it say about the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Exactly. So this morning we're going to focus more on outgrowing people. So outgrowing people is not about cutting ties with a vengeance or turning our back on those we once loved.
Although sometimes you have to do that, right?
Well, yeah, but the thing about outgrowing is that we want to make sure it's not always a rage. It's not always a fight that you have with someone. That's why my opening vignette, I said you outgrow people who meant you no harm, but they give you no growth as well. So it's not necessarily a fight. I mean, there are some people we outgrow and there's a trouble. There's an issue, right? That person maybe was showing you signs of jealousy or treating you badly or, doing something that really was derogatory to you. It's not always that way. It's just nice. What you laughing at?
I just remember the joke about me.
So it's not always rough. It's not. It doesn't always come with a fight or a disagreement or,
And sometimes it does.
That's what I'm saying.
Sometimes it does.
But is that outgrowing? Is that outgrowing? Sometimes, are you fighting because you've outgrown?
You're not the one fighting. It's the other person that's fighting.
The other person is fighting?
Yes, because you've, as you said,
you've outgrown them.
You've outgrown them, and you've gotten to the point where you need to step away.
You need to step away.
And they won't let you go.
That's right.
Right?
That's
they won't
right.
let you go. Let me just tell you why I was laughing at myself.
Okay.
Many moons ago, when I was a young guy, I was dating when I first started dating. A young fella. I remember there's this lady. And after a little while, it wasn't anything deep, right?
Yes.
But after a while, I just outgrew her. I just realized this is not where I should be.
That's right.
Okay? I remember I had a conversation with her in the Hospital Road area there. I remember well, And I told her, listen, this has to stop. I have to end. I have to move on and whatever. And this girl put a kind of licks on me.
I didn't see that one coming.
You see
She beat you?
She gave me this licks. I tell you, boy, I kind of cuffs, I kind of punches. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And
I guess it was shock and rage.
Yeah, I just took it. I didn't respond to anything.
Respond.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
my
how I was
God,
laughing at myself.
That's incredible. That's crazy. That's right. I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
But outgrowing people, it's about acknowledging that we have evolved, and sometimes the people and places in our lives have not evolved with us. Right? So when we outgrow others, we are making space for new, more aligned relationships that better support the people we are becoming. The journey is not easy, and it is often filled with hard conversations, painful realizations, and moments of guilt. And that's the part that I think allows a lot of us to stay in some situations, or even to pretend that we want to be in places that we really don't want to be, because we feel so guilty. And a lot of times,
and the person makes you feel guilty too.
Of course. Not only that, you hear people say things like, "Who she thinks she is? She the girl was going to Masha school for, the girl was living in a little house by the road, and all of a sudden, and it's not about your material things, It's not about you getting more things, or you getting prettier, or you putting longer hair. It's nothing about that."
Mm-hmm. Now, that also happens because we generally tend to think about male-female. It also happens in male-male friendships.
Well, that's what I'm talking
right?
about. It's friendships, everybody.
Where you, as you said there, you've outgrown the friend.
That's
and
right.
you realize you need to get out of that situation.
You don't want to drink rum on the block every
you.
Yes.
They remind you of certain things
that
you did with them, not realizing that you have now moved away from that. At one point in time, you would do it. Right?
That's exactly.
So they remind you.
That's what we're talking about. But if they have not moved on, or they have not grown, Andrew, they will always remind you. And they will wonder why, because they're in the same spot, they will wonder why all of a sudden, who you think you are? You used to be drinking rum with me every Friday. And all of a sudden now, you don't drink rum anymore. So it's a really hard place to sit. So we're going to explore that, Andre. Before I go further, give out our numbers, because we definitely know that our callers, would be able to tell us some things about that.
Okay, no problem. The fixed line is 572-9710, 572-9710, or WhatsApp 287-0971. WhatsApp is 287-0971. Again, the fixed line 572-9710, or WhatsApp 287-0971.
Okay. So let's look at some of the things that make you realize that you have outgrown people. some of the things in the research that's showing that you have outgrowing. Number one is that your friendship is rooted in the past. And that's what you were talking about a little while ago. A lot of us know people from the time we were 11, we were 10. And that friendship is, so long. You know the person, you know their mother, you know their father. You probably used to be at their home, used to,
Yeah.
And so when that friendship is rooted in the past, a lot of times we outgrow these people, but then there's still that. It's almost like it's your family. And you do outgrow family members as well. And so some of us really cannot get over the fact that we are now outgrowing the people and we need to move away, or the person who is on the receiving end, like you said, does not accept that. They cannot understand why all of a sudden now you do not want to be my friend, or you do not come to my home, or you do not want to call me. Number one, it's rooted in the past. We have known each other from the time we were very small. And that, I think that creates a lot of guilt as well.
There's another thing that creates guilt too. That person has done a lot of good for you.
But of course, that's why the past comes into play, because a lot of times when people are rooted in your past, you go through so many life situations with them, maybe even when you were moving, when you were going to school or something, they were there. So there's a lot of history, you understand? So that's why it's saying one of the things is that they are rooted in your past. That's one of the things that have an effect or an impact on you holding on to that relationship and having a guilt about it when you've outgrown them.
I hope you plan to deal with that issue, right? I just mentioned it. When this person has done a lot of good for you.
Yes.
That's a serious one.
That's a serious one, Andre. Again, is how you move away or how you outgrow them. Because don't forget, one of the things, the basis of outgrowing people, and I think a lot of times we forget that too, is the fact that we grow in wisdom. And as we go through the list, I will tell you, you have to be kind. Even though you are outgrowing people, you have to be kind. Like you said, you didn't even retaliate because you knew it was a place of pain for this girl as well. So you have to be kind when you are outgrowing people. You cannot just, if you say you are growing, it's not synonymous. Growing is not synonymous with being a dog or a pig in how you address things. Because some people will tell you, I have outgrown this person, and then they totally behave in a disrespectful, they look down on, that's a different thing. If you're looking down on people and treating people with disrespect, that's not what we're talking about when we talk about outgrowing. So it must come with a certain amount of wisdom and emotional intelligence for you to deal with relationships that you have outgrown. Right? Number two, they're saying is that you don't have much in common anymore. And that is a big one, because you sometimes you sit talking to your friends that you've known for so long and you feel so displaced. You don't, they're talking about something and you just
and that thing that they're talking about, I want to talk about it with you. One time you were encouraging it.
Of course.
When I say you, I'm to say, for example, me.
Yes.
I would encourage it. I would like it. You understand? I didn't have a problem with it.
That's right.
But now, as you said, because of the growth now, I don't feel comfortable talking about that kind of thing.
And so you feel out of place.
Like, for example, when men get together, right? We generally talk about our conquests and things like that.
Yes.
And we take a pleasure in that.
Yes.
Now, when you've outgrown that sort of thing, and you hear this person who's been good to you, as I said a while ago, right? I'm talking about males, males. And to hear this person, you say to yourself, I'm not in that anymore.
Or even the way they spoke about women when you were younger, that's me, I do that thing, whatever. And then now you have outgrown that person. That person is still talking that way. And you're like, wow, I don't feel comfortable, referring to a woman like that or even talking about that. So you're right. You have outgrown the person. That is another indication. You don't have anything in common. That is another indication that you have outgrown the person.
Yeah, and let me give a couple of examples again. Once upon a time, say you would be in your vehicle driving, right? And that person who's around you would stop the vehicle and just start chatting a female. Just so. Right? And as I said, once upon a time, that was cool. That was cool, just start chatting or sitting somebody.
Yes,
once upon a time, that was cool. But after a while, as you said, you've grown. You don't want to do that sort of thing anymore.
You don't want to do that.
And then you're around the person, you say, what? You even feel embarrassed.
And you feel bad. It's almost like you feel like you're betraying your own growth.
Exactly.
Yes, because you're like, why am I even accommodating that? And a lot of times you have not spoken to the person or you have not addressed anything. and you still accept the invitation to be out with them.
That's right.
So you feel kind of bad about that.
That's right.
The third one they're saying is that you revert back to your younger version of yourself when you're around them. So when you're around them, that's the thing, Andrew, you always think of the things you used to do. You are a younger version of yourself because they have not moved from what you all used to do before. So you find yourself always talking about the past. You remember when we used to go in the river? You remember? So you're always in the river, you're always doing the same things, and you're always stuck in the past. And you realize, oh my goodness, I don't want to talk about that. Or I have really moved away from that version of myself. And so that is another indication. They're saying that you have to notice what some of the things you notice when you realize that you've really outgrown the person.
Let me give those numbers again, because I really hope our listeners interact with us and talk about their experiences,
yes.
right? With growth, etc., etc. The fixed line is 572-9710. Fixed line is 572-9710. Or you can WhatsApp 287-0971. WhatsApp is 287-0971. All right.
Great. The other one is that you don't want to engage in old or bad habits. That's what you were saying. You don't want to engage in these habits.
And especially when you've gotten to the point you realize those habits are actually destructive.
Exactly. They're not healthy. Then the other one is that you feel exhausted around them instead of energized. You're very tired. You're like, oh, you feel like all your strength. You've lost all your... you've gone certain places and you've sat there and you've had a conversation and you come out and you don't know what you've learned. you just feel like drained. So it's really just taken all your strength, and because you have to exert more of your energy to even stomach some of the discussions that you probably don't want to be part of. So it really drains you. It you feel exhausted, and the last one is that the friendship has become one-sided.
What does that mean?
It means that you don't want to be their friend anymore. You probably don't want to do the things that they used to do. You don't want to be there. Most times maybe you boycott something they invite you to. And you don't want to go.
And here's the kicker. The kicker. When you make up your mind to do that, that means now you're giving up the benefits that come with that friendship.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, the benefits that come with the friendship. And that's one of the reasons I was saying to you earlier. Sometimes the people are good to you.
Yes.
Okay, they've been good to you. They've helped you out. You've slept at their home, right? You've stayed at their home when things were rough.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Exactly that.
These people were there for you, but so now when you decide to step away from it now, you have to give that up.
Yeah, well, the thing about it is that growth is really sort of focused on self-awareness as well. You might not need that. That is why you're growing out.
Sometimes you do need it. You do need the benefits that come with that relationship.
If you're outgrowing somebody, what benefits do you need?
Sometimes the person is, as I say to you, the person checks for you.
Well, they were checking for you a long time ago too, or they were checking for you before. I'm not saying they're not checking for you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when you start to outgrow them, you do outgrow the benefits as well. I think
Speak for yourself.
I think you do. You do. Well, the thing about it, let's be honest, outgrowing people can feel incredibly uncomfortable. We often feel guilty, especially when the person we are outgrowing has not done anything wrong. And that's what you're saying, they have benefits or they've been good to you. It's common to ask the question whether we are being too picky or judgmental, or to feel that we owe it to the other person to keep things the way they are. After all, these are people who have been there for us during important moments in our lives. So part of this journey is having awareness and recognizing our boundaries as we grow and evolve. A critical part of this process is learning to set boundaries that allow us to move forward with purpose, even if it means outgrowing people along the way. Outgrowing relationships is a natural and necessary part of personal development, and knowing how to navigate this shift requires a strong sense of inner awareness and the ability to protect your boundaries. So you see, they're saying that when you're outgrowing people as well, it isn't a part of your personal development, because some of us, we don't want to stay in the same spot, and sometimes that's why some relationships break up, Andre. Even in your man-woman relationships, sometimes the man want to be in that same spot. Maybe you all got together when you were very young, and he doesn't want to do anything to get a promotion. He doesn't want to do anything to elevate his education. He doesn't want to, and then you want to do that. You see the benefits of further in your education. You see the benefits of being able to get a better job. You see the benefits of of growth, and he doesn't want to, then it starts to create resentment.
I like what you just said there. When I'm repeating that, you see the benefits of growth, you said, right?
Of growth, yes. You see that the benefits of the change, of getting your education, of probably making more money. There's nothing wrong with that. To give yourself an opportunity to improve the quality of your life. So you probably do not want to live by the river anymore. You want to move a little further from the river.
Exactly.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
And some of us, and I think that's where the guilt comes in, Andre, where a lot of us, we stay in situations because we feel so guilty of the fact that the person has been giving us or doing something for us that benefits us, Andre. But I think it's a form of, that's just my take. I think it's also a form of manipulation, especially in certain relationships when the man or the woman is giving something that we are accustomed of getting or we like getting. Or it's almost like they hold you hostage with it. And you know you shouldn't be there, but you're thinking to yourself, if I leave, I wouldn't be able to get that.
But yes, you're right, that does happen. But on the other hand, they're just doing it because they genuinely love you. I'm not only talking about man-woman. I'm talking about man-man or maybe woman-woman. Friends.
Yes.
They genuinely love you.
They genuinely love you, but in a way that traps you.
Yeah, so they're there for you.
It traps you in a way, Andre.
Yes, I agree. Because
it doesn't release you to be you. It doesn't release you to grow. You feel like you have to stay there because, again, the guilt of, if I leave, I will not get that. Oh, and also the selfishness maybe for you as well. Because if you're growing, you shouldn't be selfish to hold on to what the person is able to do for you. You are outgrowing. And outgrowing means that you let go of everything and move on to a higher self.
I agree. But it's moving on. And that's why I hope you address that issue, how to move on. Because the guilt plays a big role in all of that. You know the amount of people who are in a relationship simply because they feel guilty if they leave that person because of all the good this person has done for them.
That's rough. That's tough. I read upon this. Guilt was the biggest one because it is just, and like you say too, I think ethically for us and morally we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. So we feel like if this person has done this for me, I cannot abandon this person.
Well said.
I cannot.
And remember, the Christian faith plays a role as well. The Christian faith show gratitude and this sort of thing.
Exactly. So
forgive.
You hold on.
Forgive.
But
you understand?
but I think that is where the myth happens, Andre, because the real definition of growth is that you have to let go of the things that no longer serve you positively.
And even saying that sounds selfish.
Well, that's how we grow and evolve, Andre. That's why you will not sit on the block and drink rum with that friend of yours until you die. You have to make a decision to move on. You have to make a decision to let go, and that is the meaning of growth. And that's what we're talking about, because it's very difficult to let go, especially when the person have not done you anything. But it really drains your energy, and it really puts you in a position where you're just unhappy. So what are you going to do? Are you going to choose the person's happiness over yours?
Me you talking to?
Yes. That's where it comes. Are you going to choose the person over yours, or your happiness over the person's happiness over your happiness? Because you're going to continue going there and you're going to be drained, you're going to be feeling bad, you're going to, so you have to make a decision when you are growing. You have to make a decision as to, what boundaries you set, how you set it, and how you decide to move on.
Let me give the numbers again. The fixed line is 572-9710, 572-9710, or WhatsApp 287-0971. WhatsApp is 287-0971. I hope people are not a little reluctant to call, because if they think they give their stories, they give their stories, and they are maybe probably thinking that somebody will know that I'm talking about this person or that person.
I hope not.
It's just a small place.
Oh my goodness! But that's part of us growing as well, Andre. While it can feel uncomfortable,
we have a call.
Oh, we do.
We actually have a call.
Okay.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Who's the brave person? Good morning. Welcome to Unrestricted.
Good morning, and glad to be calling.
Can you speak up a little bit, please?
Yes. Give me a sec, let me just change.
This is Unrestricted.
Yes. I'm happy to be calling this morning. I'm it's a very interesting topic.
Thank you.
What is more interesting for me is that word guilt.
Mm.
A lot of persons get trapped in guilt, but what is the other side of that coin is resentment.
Yes, yes.
So I have a saying, always choose guilt over resentment in relationships, because when we tell ourselves, I can't do it because I feel or I will feel guilty, what happens is that we continue to participate in a relationship that does not serve us,
Mm-hmm.
and that does not cause us growth,
Mm-hmm.
and then we eventually build resentment towards the other person. Now, resentment is not our emotion, it's an emotion that we're throwing out to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So then it becomes very complicated because it eats away at us, and it actually worsens a relationship that if we had just said no to, maybe it would have ended amicably. So
exactly.
a lot of persons have that difficulty, but I always say, choose guilt over resentment anytime. Say no when you have to say no, because somebody who does not understand that you're growing and that your growth involves certain boundaries, then that person will eventually end up to be a toxic part of your life, and then may actually stunt your growth later on.
Exactly.
That's just my take on it.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you.
That was a fantastic take, actually, because you see what he said there. The critical part of what he said, I found, was choosing guilt over resentment. Do you realize that if you choose resentment, then the relationship itself can end up worse, like in a bad way, Andre? That's what he's saying. So it's better. Yes, you feel guilty, but you have to choose your guilt. You have to choose feel guilty, but do not stay, because you're going to eventually resent that person, and the person might end up disliking you, Andre, if you just keep holding on to the relationship and you don't want to be around them. People do not like people to feel sorry for them and give them favors. It makes them feel even worse, that you do not want to go out with me, but because you feel guilty, you're going out with me, and then you're at the place and you're suffering. You know what I mean, Andre? So that contribution was spot on in terms of choosing guilt over resentment. Now, some of the things here's a guide to help us navigate the process with grace and confidence, Andre, is that number one, you have to acknowledge the shift.
Can let's just go a little deeper in that, choosing guilt over resentment.
You sat there stewing.
Yes, I'm thinking about it.
He was saying that people feel guilty when they have to say something. They feel bad. They feel what he's saying is accept the bad feeling of feeling guilty instead of choosing resentment. Because if you don't address your guilt, you don't feel bad, you just stay. And you continue to cultivate the relationship, or you continue to stay there. What he's saying is that it stunts your own growth. Then number two, you begin to resent the person.
Okay.
Because you're not happy, Andre.
Wow,
it's difficult, because every time, if the person is calling you all the time to go out, and you say nothing, you continue to feel, you don't want to feel guilty, so you say yes all the time. And then you go out with the person, and all of a sudden you're treating the person badly because you're not participating in the conversation. Maybe you're not feeling like the person is saying anything that really feeds your own intellect. You start to move away, and the person is feeling bad. So it's now causing resentment in the relationship. So what he's saying, in other words, choose to be guilty instead of cultivating something that is going to end badly at the end of the day.
So now, okay, I like that. So how, because if you choose the guilt, how do you now manage it? Because you have now chosen the guilt.
Well, choosing guilt is to accept.
Either way is, the other way is definitely not the best way.
That's right.
Yeah, okay, which is the resentment. So now you've chosen the guilt. So now you have to deal with it. So how do you manage it now? Because remember, that's what you've chosen. I have chosen not to feel guilty about it.
Yeah, you move away. You say what you had to say. You set your boundaries, and you feel bad about it for a while. It's gonna go away, Andre. You sit in the feelings. Sometimes we have to sit in our feelings. That's what a go poil is about. You see what I'm saying? It's a go poil you have a go poil for a normal relationship as well, Andre. A lot of times people think that it's only man and woman that have go poil, but that's not true. You have go poil for friendships as well. You have go poil for your relationships in your family as well, where the relationship is not serving you. You feel guilty, you move away, and you feel hurt. You grieve.
Okay,
you grieve the loss of the relationship.
Okay. I think I understand what you're saying now.
You see what I'm saying?
That eventually you will get over
yes, eventually you will get over the guilt.
All right.
Yes, it's not going to be forever, because you're choosing yourself. You're choosing to get away from this relationship so that you can continue to grow positively. So eventually the guilt is going to fall off your shoulders, I believe. But one of the things that when we realize we are outgrowing people, is to acknowledge the shift. We often sense when something is not quite the same long before we fully admit it to ourselves. We are intuitive by nature, and when we have outgrown someone, we can feel it in the subtle shifts, like when spending time with the person who once lit up our world now leaves us feeling drained or disconnected. So we have to acknowledge the shift, Andre. If every time you go to that person's home, you realize you come back, you're more tired and you're drained, you're feeling drained. There's nothing to add. I had a friendship one time.
Or you're not excited about.
You're not excited.
Going.
Yeah, I had a friendship one time that I found that I was always giving and giving and giving, and there was nothing that I was gaining or growing from that relationship. It was just very draining. I found myself having to be the one to always look for a conversation or add something, that's happening. So I had to keep the flame going, right? And that person was just not giving me. So my cup would be empty by the time I'm finished, and the person's cup would be full. Let's look at it like that.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing?
No.
So eventually I had to say, no, I can't keep draining myself like that. And, I had to say. But again, when we talk about being kind, I ended the friendship, and there's no hatred. Yes, the person probably was vexed at the time or hurt at the time. That's what we talk about. There's a period of grief that you go through. But eventually, you know what? There's a cordial, you see the person, they say hello, there's a nice conversation, we got to the point of laughing, and time heals things as well. Over time, sometimes things are better.
Sometimes it doesn't heal.
It doesn't heal at all, Andre?
Sometimes the other person, they hold it against you.
Wow. The second thing is to reflect on what you need right now. Outgrowing people often comes from a deeper need within us, one that reflects how we are changing as individuals. As we grow, our priorities, desires, and values shift. So too must the relationships that surround us. Take the time to reflect on what you need in your friendships at this stage of your life. Maybe you are craving more support in your career or your personal growth, or perhaps you need friendships that are rooted in deeper, more meaningful connections. And I think that's a really good one, where you have to recognize, what have you done for yourself that is making you shift? Sometimes you have just stopped. You stop bad habits. You start to clean your system. It's like taking a cooling, right? There are times when we realize, okay, all of a sudden I have more acne than usual. All of a sudden I have back knee. All of a sudden I'm fat. I'm getting bigger. It doesn't go with me. My personal values for myself, it doesn't match it. I am making some changes. You begin to make the changes, and those people who you sat in the same position with, they're the ones telling you, but why you think you have to lose weight? Why you think you have to, your skin looking okay? Because they know you are there with them to take part in the things that keep you in the same spot. So you have to recognize at the time, what do you need now? What are you looking for? Are you looking for deeper connections? And does that mean that you have to change your group? And in the research, a lot of men do that. They sit with the same group of men that talk bad about women, that talk about
mundane stuff.
Yes, and nothing adding to and then they want to leave the group, or they don't want to talk in the group, and the group make them feel even worse. That's how you come in, and sometimes we move away slowly. We move away slowly. We're not going with the gang anymore.
Just yesterday, I was driving to my home, and I hadn't seen a guy probably, maybe I'll say the last 10 to 15 years. I hadn't seen him. Now, whenever I saw him 15 years ago, he always has this, like a school bag, like a student, a school student.
Yeah,
he has this
haversack
on his back, and and I saw him, and he was walking, and after I passed him, I checked the rearview mirror to see if he still had that thing wearing on his back, walking down the road, and still has it.
Still has it.
And what 15 years ago I saw the guy.
You see, so and I'm not saying that people understand that people are allowed their own pace of growth. People are allowed their own pace. That's not what we're talking about. We're not saying.
In other words, you're saying you can stay where you
can stay where you are.
Oh yeah, okay.
If I don't want to be there, that's cool.
Yeah.
If I don't want to, because sometimes we feel like it's a bad thing if somebody want to be where they want to be. No, it's not a bad thing. That's their decision. Because sometimes we have to come to that realization for ourselves, and that's why a lot of us stay in relationships for very long, because we're trying to remove the person from where they are to bring them to where we are. You cannot do that. You cannot make people's decisions for them. They have to make it for themselves, right? That's part of it. Mm-hmm. You cannot force anybody to grow. Growth is an individual thing. It's an independent thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's and sometimes that's why there's so much argument and so much resentment, because people realize that you're growing and they're not, and they vex. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They realize you don't want to do certain things, and so they begin to criticize you, and they're upset.
We have another call. What you're saying is so important, notice.
Yes.
What you just said there?
Exactly.
Super important.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to Unrestricted.
Hi, me again.
Oh.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you for calling.
Yeah, no problem. One of the things I find curious is when we were young, there was a lot of apprenticeship and mentoring and so on going on around the place. I don't hear much about that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So just curious as to what are your thoughts on that and how it can assist, especially young people with growth.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Now, you know that falls right into what we're talking about. Some mentorship. I mean, we do want people to help teach us things and to, help us grow. However, it's not all mentorship that's good, eh? And
that's true.
And not all,
that's true.
Teaching is
because you could be a
positive.
member of a gang.
Exactly. So I think that's where the growth of an individual realizing, and that's where we outgrow things. But I also want to say that mentoring and helping in a positive way people to understand what they're about to deal with is a good thing, because we don't encourage our youth anymore in terms of having the deep conversations. And I think I hope that's what the caller was saying. We don't pull them up. We don't help them understand what it means to show up for an interview respectfully, what it means to be socially present. There are certain things we just don't teach them, but that we must find a space to teach them. However, when you are outgrowing things, you might have known certain things, and you might have been mentored by your father, your mother, and then realize these things were not things that served them anyway. It didn't add any value to your life, so you don't want to move on with it.
Have a call. This is Unrestricted.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, welcome to Unrestricted.
This is such a wonderful program.
Thank you.
And I don't think you're going to get too many people calling in, because you are touching so much points. So right now, please really listening. It's a wonderful program.
Thank
Keep
you.
the good work up.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's what sometimes they listen, Andre, as we talk about and we discuss. People like to listen as well. But I always like them to, call
of course,
contribute.
In fact, let me give the number again. The fax line is 572-9710, 572-9710, or WhatsApp 287-0971. WhatsApp is 287-0971. All right?
I hope I answered the question of the caller, the one before the last. I don't know if I, probably was on the right path. But the third thing we want to talk about is when we are outgrowing people, we have to be prepared for honest conversations. For many of us, the thought of having an open and honest conversation with someone we have outgrown can feel daunting. We worry about hurting feelings, stirring up drama, or being labeled as confrontational. However, having these conversations with honesty and kindness is essential for both parties involved. Some of us don't want to have the conversation, Andre. That's why a lot of us, we are very unhappy. Or we continue to just fake relationships. We continue to smile in each other's faces when we don't want to be there, because we don't want to have the conversation.
What conversation are you talking about?
Well, sometimes if you have for instance, I had a friendship that I felt was going in a direction that did not serve me. I called up the person and I said, can we sit and talk about this? I would like to tell you this and that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the conversation. Now, it may not be a nice conversation for the other person, but I was able to say, here's what I'm dealing with. I think that this is happening and I do not want to be part of this friendship anymore. It's like a breakup, Andre. You have to have the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us do not want to have the conversation. Now, some of us, we may choose not to have the conversation and just walk away. Some people do that, Andre. Some people ghost you. That's the word these days.
Yes.
Ghosting, right? You're in a friendship for so long and we do not want to face having a discussion at all, which I kind of wish that maybe a psychologist or somebody could explain to me. Is that part of your growth, that you just ghost the person, or is that part of you running away from confrontation?
And that is so rampant.
That's
now,
what I'm saying,
in our modern world of technology.
Yeah.
It's easy to avoid.
So you just avoid the person.
Avoid.
You just don't go.
The call is coming through. You just don't answer.
The phone,
over and over. The person calls you. You figure.
And then you just ghost the person.
Yeah.
I think for me, that's not a good way to handle the severing of relation when you are outgrowing people. Because like I said, when you are outgrowing, it must come with wisdom and kindness and confidence. So if you're just ghosting, I don't know if that's confidence and kindness and wisdom.
No,
that's just choosing to be.
Yeah.
That's choosing the easy way.
I find it very
way
disrespectful.
out.
Actually,
you find it very disrespectful. That's right. You don't say anything. The person is calling you. You're rejecting the call.
Yes.
You don't pay attention to the person.
You won't even call back.
You won't even call back.
I keep stressing the point because we're probably thinking male, female.
Everybody.
No, male
yes,
as well.
Yes. Male, female. Family members. If you realize that the friendship no longer serves you, you have to find a way to have an honest conversation with the person and to say. And I think people don't realize that people actually feel better if you do that. Although some people, their egos are so bruised that they would resent you and hate you for a while. But guess what? You were honest, and eventually they get over it. Because again, like I say, how would you feel if somebody does not like you, but you're at the person's home? Would you prefer that position, Andre?
No, definitely
like somebody
not.
doesn't want you to come to the party, but they're inviting you out of obligation. And that's a lot of... Do we accept that? Is that something, when you love yourself or you're really growing and changing, do you want somebody to accommodate you or just take you, let me just invite her because I always invite her anyway, but I don't really want her to come.
It's terrible.
That's terrible. So to me, you should try your best in your growth to have an honest conversation with the person and to see how you can say, I am going in a different direction that does not really accommodate you. I'm going in a different place. So and it's not about me disliking you or me not, respecting you. It's me just wanting to shift over here. Release the guilt and embrace self-care. You have to release the guilt. Because if you hold on to the guilt, Andre, you will never shift from where, and that also stunts your growth, which the first caller said. You remember? It stunts your growth if you hold on to the guilt. If you do not release the guilt, how are you growing? And I think that's what happens to a lot of us. We sit there, we say, okay, we go to the people's house, we go to there, we don't want to let go, we feeling guilty, and then all the time we keep on putting the pressure on our own selves. Right? The other thing is creating a space for new connections. And that is a significant one, Andre, is to create a space for new connections. A lot of us say we don't want new friends. We don't want to do new things. But that is not growth. Part of growing is to embrace new things, new people. Because as you grow, Andre, and your values change and your perspective change, you begin to meet like-minded individuals. So that's where you begin to replace some of the friendships, right?
In fact, as a wheel and come again. The same thing you're saying there about the like-minded. That's exactly what it's always been. That is why you were with those people that you were in the first place.
Yes.
Is because
Exactly.
You were like-minded.
Bingo. So, bingo. You're very good, Andre. I'm very happy to hear you say that. It's about compatibility, Andre. So you begin to meet new people who have sort of the same way of thinking. You can have positive conversations. You feel more stimulated. You can pick up a new spot. When you begin to shift, you have to start doing things differently. And your environment, if your environment is changing, then you pick up new habits, positive habits, You start doing different things. There are certain things I never thought I would be doing, and I'm doing it. All of a sudden, sometimes you begin to travel more. You begin to read more books. Some people never used to read before, and they've changed, and they grew a little more, and they were like, oh my gosh, I read my first book at 45. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It means that you are growing, right? And all of a sudden, at 45, you read your first book. When you check yourself, you're now on your 60th book, and you're only 47. So you've picked up a new habit. You find that you know more, that your brain you're more lucid, you're more open to criticism. Because when you begin to grow, Andre, everything else comes to fruition. You begin to open up your mind more.
And by the way, that growth, would you say it also extends into old age?
How you mean? I have one of my oldest friends. She is 79, and that's one of my best friends. I've known her for many, many years. She's now 79, and she calls me and she makes decisions all the time. And I say to myself, look at that. At 79, she realized she outgrew all her sisters. Because she realized she was trying to be a part of their clique because it's her sisters. And every time she go, they would drain her. They would tell her things. They would talk down to her. And she said, I just realized, you know what? I have to stay away from these girls.
Yeah, it's true.
But she's 79, Andre. The thing about it is realization. Growth is never ending. So you don't have to stop growing at 12 or start growing at 15 or at 45. You know everything. No, we grow all the time. That's why we have continuous Gopoel and Tabanka, right? Because Andre, you will meet a girl now at your age. You have grown. You would like to think that you have grown to a certain place, and you might meet a girl and certain things you never thought of or certain things you have not experienced, and that girl put you through something, and you're like, wow, at 60 something I going for that? But no. But some of us say that, right? Some of us say that. We say, at my age, I'm still learning
I'm
that.
laughing because the smoke you had on your face while you're saying that. I say, you know something, man.
No, Andre. But a lot of us say that, right? We say I'm 60. At 60 years, I go in for that. But there's no ceiling. There's no restriction.
I get your
growth.
point. I get your point.
You can grow at 90.
Yes.
And you can grow at 80. I mean, I see all the time on Facebook, social media, where you see somebody who is 75 got their degree. They got
or even
degree.
older.
Yes, that's right. They got their masters because they had that dream.
Even the high school diploma.
That's right. That's part of growth, Andre. Because anytime you've done something that add value to your life, you're now opening up a world of new knowledge
and possibilities.
And I was reading something recently and about neuroscience, and it was saying that we actually grow when we do the fearful things. That's where we grow, not when we're doing the things we like to do because it's a place of comfort.
Right.
So you're not growing at all. When you are afraid to do something and you venture to do it, that's when you actually grow. That's where the growth is, the pain of doing it. The actual fear of saying, you know what, let me do this.
Yeah. As you said, getting out of your comfort zone.
Getting out of your comfort zone. So,
and that's scary.
And that is very scary.
It's scary.
Is. But I think a lot of us who have done it, as we continue to do it, we realize that our life is even more exciting and more fulfilling.
Yes.
And it gives you yet another goalpost. Because when you've done that, it gives you an opportunity to choose something else to do. And some of us take taste. We're like, I didn't know. And that's what life is about. That's what growth is about.
And you say something like, if I had known that, I would have done that a long time ago.
So that's what outgrowing people is about. When you outgrow people who can't keep you trapped, you realize that you're now in a new, fresh space. And then you start to open up and give yourself the opportunity to grow even more. And growth is continuous. It's not stagnant. And a lot of us believe that growth stops when we are a certain age. And some of us are set in our ways. That's some of us that don't want to grow, right? That's how I am. You know, a lot of us say that. That's how I am.
Yes.
That's who I am. I've always been that way. Yeah, you've been that way, but there's a possibility that there's an opportunity to change. And so growth is about changing. So that's what we talk about when we say to create space for new connections. You create space for new connections, you get to know new things, you start doing new things, and you're able to continue to outgrow the people or the things that you were hoping to outgrow. Now, whilst we are outgrowing people, we have to communicate with care. And that's what I said before. Be honest, but be kind. If you choose to talk about it, be clear about how you feel without being cruel. A simple statement like, I've been reflecting and I don't think we're in the same place anymore, can be effective. Some of us, we don't grow. We cannot call it growth. If we say, how is Mia? You don't say, I don't know you anymore, or I don't want to be around you anymore. Some of us are very disgusting. Is that growth? That's not growth. Growth is being kind and having wisdom in that growth and being honest, so that you're not being disrespectful to the person, or you're not being cruel in the way you say things or how you say it.
But Lotus, what about the response? Remember I told you earlier about my experience.
Yeah, but the response will never be favorable, Andre. Sometimes people just see these things as rejection.
Yeah, so even if you're nice and kind about it and so on, because I was at that time,
but
kind about it.
But she did not receive, and in the time where she's receiving that, it's not as nice. People don't really like. I mean, I have friends or people I know that are grown enough that if you tell them the friendship is not working, they say okay and they move on.
Right.
Now they might be feeling bad.
That's the exception to the rule, I can tell you that.
But it happens. But the thing about it is that ego sometimes make us say okay, Andre, and then we go and cry. That's okay. The thing is, you will acknowledge that it is hurting, because these things, they do hurt. When we outgrow people feel bad,
and it hurts you too for having to say it.
And the other thing I did not say, people outgrow us too. Don't forget that.
Exactly.
People outgrow us too. Some of us think of only ourselves outgrowing people, but people outgrow us too. Now, the nice thing about it is that when I outgrow you and you outgrow me, we're on the same page. No, it's nice because if somebody outgrows you and you outgrow the person, they don't want to be around you, don't want to be around, and it's nice and fair. The two of you all can still say hi. There's no resentment. There's no vexation. You just go your separate ways. It's okay. And I think a lot of times we don't think that it's okay or it will be okay. Do not over-explain, Andre, as we wrap up. Do not over-explain. You don't owe anyone a long, detailed explanation. Focus on your needs and your peace. Do not go into all kind of, because then the person will probably fight to hold on, and you'll have to give all kind of explanations.
That's what I was talking about.
So you just say what you have to say, Andre, and I guess you got the licks, and then you just move on, Andre.
But we're friends now, by the way.
Oh, y'all are friends?
Yeah, we are friends.
That's a good thing. Prepare for different reactions. And this is what you said about how she reacted. Prepare for different reactions. The other person may be hurt or confused, or they may understand. Be prepared for their reaction, and don't let guilt guide your decisions. Because some of us, if the reaction is really negative, we say, okay, wait. Okay. I guess we can still be friends.
Right. Exactly.
And you come out there feeling worse.
Yes.
Because the person is happy that you've held on to them, and then you're feeling really bad.
As you said earlier, this resentment now begins to build.
That's the seed of resentment.
Yes,
where you say, okay, it's all right. We can still be friends.
And then now you have to say,
and now you have to shrink yourself. You have to
be around this
lie.
Person again,
you have to
man.
pretend. Exactly. So prepare for different reactions.
Can you imagine that?
I cannot imagine.
Can you imagine that? You already made up your mind to let it go, and then, as you said there, you feel the guilt, and you change your mind, and now you have to say to yourself, my gosh, man, I have to go and deal with that again.
Yes.
What?
And then give yourself time. Recognize that outgrowing friendships is a normal part of life and can involve grief. Be gentle with yourself as you navigate the change. That's why I say, give yourself time, Andre. Sometimes we outgrow people and we don't want to cry about it. Even if you outgrow the person, you do feel bad. Because like you say, sometimes you have friends that make you laugh so much. I remember I used to line with a set of girls when I was probably about 21, 22, and we used to laugh. Let me tell you, gut-busting laughter. you know, you come together, you go out together, you do. But then when I got to a certain age, I was just like, me, I don't want to do that. What am I doing that for? Yes, the laughter is good, but there was nothing, they were adding nothing to my life in any significant way. And these were people, when you think back on the conversations were always so negative. It was very gossipy. It was always about who didn't have that at their home and what I have at my home. And then, so there was nothing, it was not feeding my soul with anything. So I had to move away from it. Now, granted, maybe moving away, they didn't care because everybody moved away. But at the same time, you make it a point not to be part of these people's circle because some of them are the same way. They remain the same way. And when you meet them on the road sometimes, or you see them after a long time, even some of the comments they make tell you that they're still in the same spot. It's like somebody who haven't seen you for 40 years, and the first thing they tell you, hey, you get ugly, eh? No, you know, as Caribbean people, you know, St. Lucians, you know, some of us, we talk like that. You're really fat. But if some of us were grown in terms of our mindset, we would look for the positive thing first. Oh, I haven't seen you in a long time. Wow, it's good to see you. How you doing? To me, that's the first, that should be your default. But some of us are so broken and be so stuck that we don't see anything positive when we see people. So I will close with the fact that when you have outgrown your friends and your family, there is nothing wrong with that. And you have to do it gently and kindly.
And also, for me, the benefits that come with the changes.
That's right. It far outnumber the negatives. And the negative is only guilt, because some of us hold on to the guilt. Don't hold on to the guilt for too long.
Lotus, I want to thank you for having the show today. I think maybe we didn't get many calls because people are just curious to hear, you know.
I think people are listening.
What you're saying.
Somebody sent me a message and told me that I'm speaking to them exactly. You know, so people definitely know what it means when you go through these things. Before I go though, I would like to send a special birthday greetings, Andre, to one of my closest, best male friends of the century. Like, he is just a fantastic person, very compassionate, kind, loving, brilliant. His name is Wally. Some people call him Theophilus. His first name is Pamphil. His last name is Wally, but I call him Wally Polly. Today is his birthday, so I would like to say happy birthday, and I hope that you're going to have an awesome day.
Happy birthday, Wally. That's the name, right? Wally?
Pamphil Wally.
Pamphil Wally.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Have a good one.
Yes, thank you, Andre.
So thank you very much, Lotus, as always, for your service. I think we had a great show today.
Yes, it is. I feel it in my spirit. I really, when I came up with this topic, I knew that it would be one that sometimes, but I think slowly we are opening up. I mean, if you listen to Mind Matters, when you hear men talk about how their vulnerability, I love that.
And that's growth.
So that's growth,
yeah,
yes.
Remember we had Ninja Dan last week?
Yes. So that's growth.
Yeah,
I really felt it. I love that show too. So these are the things we have to, unrestricted is what we don't talk about. So when we don't talk about these things, Andre, you know that we are shifting. we you know, so even if we don't call, I know that people are listening.
Okay, Lotus, thank you very much.
Thank you, Andre.
A nice day.
Wonderful day yourself.
Alrighty. Okay, those of you on Facebook, on YouTube, and also on X, we'll take a little break from you as we stand by to bring you Mind Matters with Dr. Julius Gilliard. So please stay tuned.